And welcome to the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. A really big, juicy hump day in the world of sports. We got more Kawhi Leonard news. It seems like every single day there's something new with our guy from the pride of Riverside King High School. So news on Kawhi Leonard. We've got lots of good stuff to digest from the Pac-12 football media day as all the head coaches and the top players got together in Hollywood today to get ready for the college football season in the Pac-12. News from NFL training camps. The Dodgers had an afternoon game, so a lot to get to. That's Greg Holla, Jeff Gorham. I'm simply Pep Fernandez. We're brought to you by our good friends at Spoiled Quick Quality Oil Change. You can spoil yourself and your car every 3,000 or 5,000 miles. Everybody's got to do it. Might as well go to Spoiled. You're going to get great customer service at a low price, and they're going to get you in and out so quick that you can carry on with your life, get back out there, do all the important things that you got to get done, but only if you go to Spoiled. Quick quality oil change off of Alessandro Boulevard, off the 215 freeway between Riverside and Moreno Valley. All right, so we've got to start with Kawhi Leonard. And Jeff, you turned me on to this, that the fact that he could play for the Team USA camp, but Kawhi Leonard, or Greg Popovich's former coach now for the San Antonio Spurs, is the head coach of Team USA. I never really felt like this was a realistic chance of happening, of seeing Kawhi in Las Vegas this week for the USA camp, simply for the fact that all the drama and how uncomfortable it would be and just awkward having those two guys together. And we found out officially that, yeah, he's not there today. He's not going to show up in Las Vegas.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I mean, who is giving this guy advice? I mean, Kawhi Leonard, show up, play for Team USA, swallow your pride, swallow whatever issues you have with Greg Popovich. Remember, Coach Popovich was a world champion with you, Kawhi Leonard. There was at one point in your career that you two guys were simpatico. You guys were arm in arm, hand in hand. The team loved you. The city embraced you. I'll tell you what, Pep, I don't know if you were like me, but I know in my lifetime I've burned bridges. I know I've burned bridges with guys locally here in the Riv, in the Inland Empire. And guess what, Pep? There's one thing that happened. I grew up. There were times, and you know this, you've been around me when I've talked to people that, you know, I didn't have the greatest relationship when I was younger, but as I got older, as I became a parent, and as I matured, I don't let things like that bother me anymore. We're talking about playing for USA, playing for pride, and trying to get back a semblance of a career and kind of it would be nice to have the media and the people and the fans back on your side, Kawhi. Swallow your pride, play for Team USA. We know you passed the physical. Suck it up, my man. Suck it up.
Yeah, more than one time, Jeff, you've told me, yeah, that guy, he and I, we just actually made up about 6 months ago. We're friends again. He didn't like me for the longest time. So you can go back. You can mend those things. But as for Kawhi Leonard, yeah, you know, I wanted to see him at USA camp, and now that he's passed the physical with Toronto, that trade is official, but maybe more importantly, I guess he's healthy. I don't know what degree, but he passed the physical, so you would think at least from a, you know, again, I don't have a doctorate, I don't have any medical background, but I would like to think if he passed the physical, he might be able to get out there at Team USA's camp and run around a little bit. So I think it's less about how he physically feels and more about just being around Greg Popovich once again in Las Vegas at this USA camp. It would have been weird. It would have been awkward. I know but still, again, representing the country, not many guys even have that offer. And this was what the camp, I think, featured like 35 NBA players. So just you have to go to the camp. You have to go through this process to ultimately be chosen to play for Team USA. So this is just kind of like almost like a tryout, right? I mean, it's a mini camp to kind of weed the guys down even further from 35 players down to whatever is a 12 or 14, 15-man roster.
Yeah, and of those 35 guys, there'll be a couple college guys peppered in there, and guys that are on the radar of Team USA because a lot can happen. Guys could get hurt. Guys decide like Kawhi Leonard, they might decide, hey, I'm not going to play for Team USA. So you've got to have that core of your players playing against one another in this camp to see, if they can play together. There's certain aspects of playing basketball that you can have five great athletes on the court, but if they can't play well together and there's no cohesion, they get rid of certain guys because we're not playing for a NBA championship. We're playing for a world championship, and that is the key component. Kawhi Leonard needs to be there. He needs to mend fences, build bridges, and get back and playing basketball. I'm tired. I hate saying bad things about Kawhi Leonard. I think we all do in the Inland Empire because we want to say good things. But when you don't speak for 9 months, questions are arising, questions about his camp, the people watching him. But Kawhi Leonard, come out and at least say something. 2 words. I'm alive, something. It's just an awkward situation.
Yeah, according to a bunch of reports, he simply wants to focus on his transition now from San Antonio to Toronto. He doesn't want to get, another thing on his plate, which would be this USA camp. He simply wants to focus on the Raptors and starting anew with this team. So I don't know. I choose to think he's healthy and he has a desire to play basketball. Maybe he thinks he's going to re-aggravate something if he comes back to this USA mini camp. Like I have no idea, and you have no idea. Nobody has an idea because Kawhi Leonard doesn't talk, and that's basically what it boils down to. Nobody has an idea. We're just hearing things.
Yeah, it's just a weird scenario, Pep, and I think it's almost to the point like we talked about LeBron James coming to Los Angeles. LeBron James this, LeBron James that. I'm starting to get to the point now where just like LeVar Ball, just like LeBron James, and now Kawhi, I'm getting tired of talking about the decisions that Kawhi Leonard is making because overall, he's the one making the decisions. It's not his uncle. It is Kawhi Leonard. He's a grown man. He's been around a long time, but it's really, really hurting. I'm getting tired of talking about this beaten dead horse. Get back on the court, Kawhi Leonard, or at least talk to the fans.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of a Kawhi fatigue here. In fact, I had somebody ask me, "What are you talking about today?" I said, "What do you think we're talking about?" Every day it's Kawhi, it's LeBron, are the Dodgers in first place. There's certain things, and Kawhi certainly tops that list. Hey, Jeff, if people are watching live and amplified right now on the Inland Sports channel on YouTube, behind me in my hotel room, I've got the Pac-12 Football Media Day, which is taking place today in Hollywood. And we've got Chip Kelly actually being, on the stage right now, the UCLA head football coach. I had a chance to meet him. You had a chance to meet him when the Bruins came out to the University of Redlands just last month. We couldn't get him on camera because he was not allowed. They really hunker down in terms of, when you're allowed to do interviews and what you can talk about. Compliance really gives them a line that they have to toe. But I don't know, from our brief conversations with him, good dude. Obviously, he had success at Oregon. He's got NFL in his background, being a head coach with the 49ers and the Eagles. If you're a UCLA Bruins fan, and we're going to get to where the UCLA Bruins kind of stack up here in the preseason in the Pac-12, but if you're a UCLA fan, I think just knowing that Chip Kelly is your head coach is enough to get you excited. Even if last season went a little sideways, you got a new head coach. He's had a lot of success. And I think for that simple fact that, UCLA fans feel like, hey, the sky's the limit with Chip Kelly now on board in Westwood.
Honest to goodness, Pep, it's a shot in the arm for UCLA. It's a shot in the arm for the Pac-12, and it's a shot in the arm really for college football. Let's just go back a few years when he was the head coach of Oregon. How dynamic was that offense, and how fun was it to watch? It was almost like a run-and-gun basketball. It was like the old Loyola Marymount days where they'd put up 140 points. It was fast-paced offense. There was gimmicks. It was fun to watch. So I'll tell you what, if you're a UCLA fan, you got to be excited. And if you're a college football fan, it's nothing better than watching Chip Kelly when he's at his best.
I know he's not the father of the spread offense or the run-pass option, but man, he was really in the forefront, and I think a lot of teams, when he was at Oregon, a lot of teams couldn't figure him out. And if you remember, when he first got to the Philadelphia Eagles, he had a lot of success early because the other NFL teams hadn't seen a team quite like Chip Kelly's Eagles. So I don't know. He's always got tricks up his sleeve. He's always on the forefront of what's new and what's different. He's innovative. I think Chip Kelly can take I would say, a mediocre Bruins team and make them competitive, make them relevant in their own city, because they've got to go up against USC, who year in and year out, USC is near the top of the heap in the Pac-12.
Yeah, and just talking from Chip Kelly, I had a chance to talk to him a little bit about. I mentioned a couple local football players. I'm not going to say who they are, and his eyes peaked. He got excited, and if he's going to be able to get the kind of guys that I had mentioned, that who they are, UCLA could be a dominant fixture in the Pac-12 South for years to come. If you can get that quarterback, you get those skilled guys, their offense will be their defense, because they will outscore their opponents on a clip that we haven't seen since his days at Oregon.
I know, obviously you put the pieces together and then you put it all out on the field, and the best team always wins. But you could also make a case that, college football titles are won in the offseason during the recruiting period. You need Jimmies and Joes, you got to have guys out there. You got to have dudes. So Chip Kelly, a great recruiter. We've seen him making the rounds. We'll see what UCLA has this season. But at Pac-12 Football Media Day today in Hollywood, the coaches all got together. They voted how they thought the Pac-12 South and the Pac-12 North divisions would finish this season. Now, overall, the University of Washington Huskies were selected as the team to win the Pac-12 this season, finishing first in the North Division. So let's do the North real quick. We'll get that out of the way. So in the preseason poll in the Pac-12, it's going to go Washington on top, the first place team, and also your overall Pac-12 champion. Then it's going to go Stanford, Oregon, California, Washington State, and in the cellar, Oregon State. Jeff, anything there jump out at you?
No, not really. The Pac-12 North is that. I agree with that too, for the most part. I do see California, though, is going to be a little better than they've been in the past. I think California will be a little better than Oregon. I picked Oregon to be actually fifth in my own little poll that I went with. But no, I think that stands pat. The tough thing about the Pac-12 is there's always a coaching turnaround. So if you finish last for a couple of years, or you're towards the bottom of that Pac-12, they're going to be looking for other jobs. Coaches will be looking to be fired. But the Pac-12 North, I think, is pretty stand pat.
Yeah, and the Pac-12 for football is pretty wacky, kind of like the Big West is for men's basketball. So you just never know who's going to sneak up on one of the front runners and knock them off. Okay, here's the South Division. This is what you've been waiting for. Again, Washington, the Huskies were the overall selection to win the Pac-12, but the Pac-12 South Division, just the South, they're picking USC to win it. So it would be a USC versus Washington Pac-12 championship game, and the Huskies would win that. That's what they're predicting here in their preseason poll in the Pac-12. Let's go down the South Division. It's going to be USC number 1, followed by Utah, Arizona, UCLA, Colorado, and Arizona State. Herm Edwards, the new head coach at Arizona State, and they are picked to finish last in the Pac-12 South Division. So Jeff, any thoughts there as we go down the South Division with USC all the way to the bottom with Arizona State?
Well, you have three new head coaches in the South Division. You've got Kevin Sumlin at Arizona. You got Chip Kelly at UCLA. And you mentioned Herm Edwards at Arizona State. That one is a little puzzling to me. I agree at the top. I think USC and Utah, I think they have that correct. But I think it's a crapshoot after that. I think it could be any of these teams could finish third. Arizona, UCLA, Colorado, and Arizona State. Arizona State, I don't know if they have enough this year, but Herm Edwards can recruit, and they're going to be really good in a couple of years. Who wouldn't want to play for an NFL legend, a legendary coach? But, yeah, I think that's up in the air after those first two picks.
Yeah, you know what? When I look at the South and the North divisions right now, I got them both in front of me. I'm like you. I see the first two picks in each division as kind of no-brainers, and then after that, it's going to be a logjam. So USC and Utah in the South, Washington and Stanford in the North, and then it's just going to be a battle for Middle Earth. Who's going to finish, third, fourth, the pecking order after that. But Yeah, I mean, USC's picked to win the South, and think about it. They lost their quarterback in Sam Darnold. They lost their starting running back in Ronald Jones, although we know Stephen Carr, the pride of Summit High School, is going to pop right in there and be that next running back at tailback U. But USC lost a lot. This is how much of a vote of confidence the other coaches in the conference, when they look at USC, and they look at what Clay Helton's doing there. Doesn't matter if they lose a lot of guys. The Trojans are always the team to beat in the Pac-12 South now.
Yeah, and Clay Helton, I mean, let's be honest here. He has an era of a Pete Carroll. I mean, they have that same feeling, that same drive. They're getting guys. They're getting the dudes to be very good. And like you said, you lose a quarterback, you lose a running back, and they just fill spots. If he can continue to do what he had done at the tail end of last year, SC, I think, is head and shoulders above the rest of the South.
All right, we're going to talk more from Pac-12 Football Media Day in our next segment, but we also got to get to NFL training camps here on our Inland Sports headlines on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. And we're talking NFL training camps. We got a lot of NFL to get to throughout the show, and this one goes out to Greg Holla. Listen, at Raiders training camp, everyone's reported yesterday. They're going to be on the field later this week. John Gruden, the new head football coach for the Raiders, said if he can't get the job done, that he won't take the Raiders' money. Jeff, it's a 10-year, $100 million deal it's being reported that John Gruden signed. Okay, let's say the Raiders finish 8-8. Is that getting the job done?
No, if you're Raiders Nation, and they're the most rabid fans out west. I mean, in Los Angeles, you talk about the most popular team. Some say it would be the Rams, but many say it's the Raiders. And if you can't get it done, it's all about championships for the Raiders. You make the playoffs, things are okay in Raiderland. But if you win it all, great things will happen. But if you don't win, we've seen coach after coach after coach the last 10 years fail and get booted. John Gruden has missed the game, and I'll tell you what, if he isn't caught up to what's happened the last 10 years, he himself could find himself out of a job here really quick.
I think that's his loophole when he says, if I can't get the job done. What exactly does that mean? Finishing 9-7 and sneaking into the playoffs, is that getting the job done? Is it winning the Super Bowl? So, it's in the details, I guess you could say, when John Gruden says, if I can't get the job done, the Raiders, I won't take their money. So we'll see. We'll see exactly. But kind of interesting that he's got that much confidence and bravado to put that out there here before we even take the field for his very first game with the Raiders. On a more serious note, at Cowboys camp up there in Oxnard, near the Ventura area, David Irving from San Jacinto High School, he is not at Cowboys camp, and they are not expecting him anytime soon. David Irving burst onto the scene as one of the top defensive linemen in all the NFL. In fact, he was the NFL Defensive Player of the Week last season. In one of those weeks, he had a monster week. I think it was against the Green Bay Packers, in fact. David Irving, though, he is not at Cowboys camp in Oxnard. They are not expecting him anytime soon, but they are calling it an excused absence. David Irving from San Jacinto's had a lot of off-the-field issues. There were allegations from his girlfriend about some abuse that did or did not take place, but the NFL has decided not to, file any charges or investigate any further. They're just simply going to drop it. And in the meantime, David Irving's girlfriend has actually recanted her story and took a lot of that stuff back. So it's been a tumultuous offseason for David Irving, on top of, and this is why he's not going to be playing the first 4 games of the season, he violated the NFL's substance abuse policy. So he is suspended the first 4 games of the season, on top of all those other off-the-field issues he was having this offseason. So it's been rough for David Irving. He's done our show several times. I was with him at the National Football Foundation banquet. He's a good guy, and Jeff, sometimes, and maybe you can relate to this, sometimes good people get wrapped up in a bad situation, or they're hanging around with people they shouldn't be. I know David Irving. I know he's got a good heart, but man, it was a bad offseason for our guy, and we're hoping to see him back on the field, hopefully clean, and hopefully with his personal life in order so he can just worry about football.
Yeah, in the NFL, you got to applaud them because they've been very proactive as of late. I'd say the last 3 to 4 years. by helping these NFL players kind of adjust to the lifestyle of being in the NFL. I can equate it to a lot of guys that I grew up with that, played in the NBA and were given millions of dollars at the age of 19 and 20 years old. They don't know how to really take care of themselves because they're throwing so much money. Imagine, you and I have children. Imagine one of our kids that is given $1 million+ at the age of 19, 20, 21 years old, and you're not prepared for life. Those are kids with $1 million playing video games. They don't know how to sometimes run their life. So hopefully David Irving through the NFL will get his life back in order. Like you said, a great guy, and I would love to see him back on the field as soon as possible.
And some baseball notes here as we round out the headlines. The Dodgers had an afternoon game. They lost to the Phillies by a score of 7-3. Max Muncy did have his 24th home run of the season. We're going to break down this game later in the show as we talk Dodgers. And Jeff, last night it was a 16-inning game. Kike Hernandez actually pitched. He gave up the walk-off 3-run homer, took the loss last night 7-4 against the Phillies. That was a bizarre situation. So we'll talk more Dodgers about their game today. Again, they lose to the Phillies 7-3, and about that weird game last night in extra innings. And the Halos trying to battle back in back-to-back losses against the White Sox. They lost last night 4-2, same two teams. Tonight it's a 4-game series, but the Halos now under 500. They're 50-52 overall on the season, so it has got pretty bad there at the Big A. The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kin Sporting Goods. More than 40 years in the IE, providing you with all of your sporting gear needs, and they can do Letterman's jackets. Kin Sporting Goods for your entire team, or maybe just the athlete in your life or your company or business. Embroidery, screen printing, they do it all. Kin Sporting Goods off the 15 freeway in Norco, kinsportinggoods.com. When we come back on the Inland Sports Show, we will talk Pac-12 football. A lot to digest from Pac-12 Football Media Day in Hollywood today. You're listening to your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM.
Focus on the customer here. Believe it or not, that is the biggest thing for customers on an oil change. They just want the convenience of coming in, driving in, getting it done, and driving out. We just greet them, get them going, and they're done. Or so. We don't push any sales on them. We do the oil change, and I think that's what sets us apart is our customer service. Vacuumed and cleaned your windshield for you as well. Everything's looking pretty good. Come into us one time, believe me, we'll spoil you and you'll be ready to come back the next time.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. This segment brought to you by Boost Performance Training in Corona with Coach Ray Bass. Athletes of all levels and all sports, football, lacrosse, soccer, track and field. Everybody is going to Boost Performance Training with Coach Ray Bass. They're located in Corona, but they take athletes from all across the Inland Empire. They make them fast, they make them dynamic, they make them explosive. So check them out. BoostTrainingSystems.com is the website. Follow them on Instagram and Twitter. That's Boost Performance Training. Their strength and speed class, the first one, is always free. So there's no reason to go check it out at Boost. All right, let's talk a little Pac-12 football here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. So we had Pac-12 Football Media Day. And really, Jeff, going into Media Day, I think a lot of the questioning for the coaches and the players is going to be, what was wrong with the Pac-12 last season? It was a subpar season from top to bottom in the Pac-12. We think here on the West Coast we've got a lot of great college football, but stacked up against some of the other top programs across the country, man, it was a bad year, especially in bowl games. We didn't have a team from the Pac-12 in the college football playoff system. It was a down season. We got to turn things around, Jeff.
Yeah, it was an embarrassment. You know, we were talking last year at the beginning of the season, the Pac-12 is as good as the SEC or the Big Ten. That wasn't the case. In fact, it was basically the worst possible outcome for the Pac-12 you can possibly imagine, and I think that they're going to take a hit for the next couple of years unless they do win some bowl games. People aren't going to take the Pac-12 as seriously as they should have.
Yeah, the Pac-12 went 1-8 in bowl games last season. So 9 bowl games, and they only won one of them. Pac-12 got spanked any way you slice it. It was not a good bowl season. So how do you battle back? Of course, the guy leading the way, carrying the flag for the Pac-12 is going to be Stanford running back Bryce Love. He was runner-up for the Heisman last year, the favorite to win it this year. Great tailback, over 2,100 yards last season was a Stanford record in one season, even more so than our guy Toby Gerhart from Norco High School. So they're going to have Love in the backfield. Stanford's going to be legit. We saw USC and Washington ranked very high. Pac-12's got some good football teams, but they got to show it, Jeff, against the other top teams. And let's talk about some of those marquee matchups in college football that we can look for this season. Especially, and this is the granddaddy of them all, the Washington Huskies will open up the season against Auburn down in their own backyard in Atlanta, Georgia. Washington and Auburn, Jeff, it doesn't get much bigger than that. That feels like a college football bowl game, or maybe even more so like a college football playoff game when we narrow it down to the 4 national semifinalists come January. But how bad does the Pac-12 need Washington to beat Auburn in that season opener in Atlanta?
Well, if Washington, or if the Pac-12 was smart, they wouldn't have picked Washington to win the Pac-12 outright. Because, man, when you open up at Auburn, and if you lose, I'll tell you what, a bullseye goes directly on not just Washington, but the entire Pac-12. They've got to win that game in Auburn. I know it's asking a lot, but man alive, if you are a Pac-12 fan and you are hoping that these teams are going to get good bowl bids, they've got to start off strong, and they've got to start off against Auburn in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point, Jeff, that, you come out and let's say Washington lays an egg. I mean, they just get a big black eye against Auburn, and that's going to set the tone for the rest of the season because we're telling the rest of the country Washington is our best team in the Pac-12. They were voted to finish first in the North Division. They were voted to win the Pac-12. Washington is the best we can offer. If they go to Auburn, and maybe if they're competitive, maybe if it's a close game, if it comes down to a field goal, maybe that's one thing. But if they get soundly beat by the Auburn Tigers in week 0 or whatever the first week of the season is, I don't know. You're right. I think the rest of the country is going to look at the Pac-12 and be like, "That's your best? This is your king?" You're like one of those. It's like it's not going to go well for the rest of the season. Now that's a big one. In week 2 of the college football season, UCLA will have its first stiff test as they take on Oklahoma. That's a big game as well. If Washington and UCLA can get the Pac-12 as a whole off on the right foot, I think it'll speak on how far the Pac-12 has come from last season. If they both lay eggs and they get beat up, man, it's going to feel like last season's repeating itself all over again.
Yeah, and I think UCLA, think of it this way. Chip Kelly runs a pretty dynamic offense. And, we've seen enough high school football, enough college football to know it kind of takes a while. If you're running something new, it takes a while to kind of get going. The UCLA team we see at the beginning, in week 2 is not going to be the team we see in week 7 or week 8. This is going to be a process, a learning process. I hope UCLA can figure it out, but just playing in games itself, or I should say practicing, is a whole lot different than playing in games, and that's a tough opponent to play Oklahoma that early in week 2.
It's going to be a good one. UCLA, Oklahoma, and then USC. If you're a USC football fan, there's 2 games back-to-back weeks that you want to keep an eye on for sure. Back-to-back road games as USC will take on Stanford, so that's a conference game right there. But then they will take on Texas. And again, these are games that take on a lot more importance even outside of the Pac-12. Because, Jeff, when you talk about the national championship picture, if you suffer even one loss, you might be on the outside looking in. If you could take maybe one loss and still fight your way back to get into that 4-team playoff at the end, but man, if you drop one, you're already fighting an uphill battle if you want to get one of those 4 final spots. And the Pac-12, they probably feel like that the Pac-12 deserves one of those 4 spots in that national championship playoff with featuring the 4 best teams in the country. So if Washington stubs their toe on Auburn and let's say down the road, they get picked off by Oregon or something like that, that's a 2-loss team all of a sudden, and they might not be in that 4-team playoff, and the Pac-12 will be shut out again on that college football playoff system.
Yeah, and if you're USC, Washington, the top 2, teams in the Pac-12 North and South, you've got to win your non-conference schedule. You have to. Just like you said, you can't go hoping that other teams will stub their toe. You can't go lose 2 games and, like you said, try to get in that final 4 spots. USC, Washington, they cannot lose non-conference games.
Yeah, it's going to be very telling for the Pac-12 and very quickly as well as we start the season. Again, Washington taking on Auburn, season opener in Atlanta. UCLA taking on Oklahoma. USC's got Texas on their schedule. So if the Pac-12 wants to make an early statement like, hey, Pac-12 football is back. Last year, man, that was an anomaly. Like, that's not going to happen again. That was just kind of a wacky flash in the pan. That's not stereotypical of Pac-12 football because, if it happens one season, it's not going to be one of those, hey, we're being identified by playing a low level of football. If it just happens one season, if they can right the ship this year, they'll be like, oh, that was just one wacky year. Went off the rails one season. The Pac-12 is back, but they've got to win those important games that are out of conference. Again, Washington, Auburn, UCLA, Oklahoma, USC, Stanford. Those are going to be huge games that the rest of the country is going to be looking at to see if Pac-12 football is back.
Yeah, and the Pac-12 can simply just win those ball games to get back in the limelight. That 1-8 bowl games last year, you can erase that really quick by winning those big games.
All right, when we come back here on the Inland Sports Show, we've got a lot to get to from NFL training camp, some notes and some tidbits, including one of our local guys from the Inland Empire already making a name for himself at his NFL training camp. So we've got a lot more about the NFL, and then coming up in about 20 minutes, the head basketball coach at UC Riverside, David Patrick, is scheduled to join us to talk about the Highlanders' schedule for the upcoming year. You're listening to your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM.
We're a small family-owned, strive for quality pre-owned vehicles. We're not a volume dealer, and we take every deal as personal to us. We're a low-stress environment. We're not a pressure sales house. If you want to shop us, you're more than welcome to shop us. We have, like I said, great rates, competitive financing, a lot of one-owner, clean Carfax, clean title vehicles. As you see, we have Carfax everywhere. That's most important to us, to educate our customers before they make a purchase. We're right off of Ontario, right off a couple exits off the 15 freeway, off Cajelco, off El Cerrito, and we're right on the main drag going into Dos Logos and the crossings. We have great financing, we have great lenders that we're using. We do buy, sell, trade, cash for your car. Whatever we need to do to help accommodate the customer, that's what we're here for. We have a little bit of everything. We start at about $69.95 and go all the way up to $100,000. We have Escalades, we have commuters, we have pickup trucks, we have Jeeps, sport utilities, and if we don't have it, our specialty is finding you exactly what you're looking for.
Thank God, first of all. I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is impeccable, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms, or the bling or rhinestones for different shirts for the ladies. That's why we have certain racks just for certain schools, and the fun about that is that it turns into other schools that may come in here that aren't as close, that we can do stuff for them as well. We've had very, very good customers throughout the years, and it's just been a blast.
Welcome back to the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. We're brought to you by Catalano Motors in Corona off of Temescal Canyon Road. You can buy, you can trade, you can finance. Most importantly, we're putting money back in your wallet because when you mention the Inland Sports Show, you get $500 off. But it only happens at Catalano Motors. You already saved thousands of dollars on their weekly specials. Now you're going to save even more money because the Inland Sports Show can take off $500. But it's only at Catalano Motors. You guys have seen the place. It's right there off of Temescal Canyon Road in Corona, and you can visit them online. Go check it out for yourself, CatalanoCars.com. You will not be disappointed. It could change your life. You could be rolling around the IE like a big-time baller in a new ride, or as Jeff would say, a new whip. All right, let's talk some
whip.
I know you've got a whip. You got a couple whips, big
I do
baller.
have a few. Yes, I am.
Let's talk about NFL training camp. We got some news and notes from across the league as a lot more teams are now actually on the field, putting on the helmets, throwing the ball around. It's about to get real. The Bears will take on the Ravens, Jeff, next Thursday night in the NFL Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. We're excited about that one. It'll also be our first look at the great Kylie Fitz out of Redlands East Valley High School. Jeff, Kylie barely got there for training camp. The Bears have been on the field, and already Kylie Fitz, the former Rev Wildcat, turning heads at Bears camp. Let me read you a quote from Bears head coach Matt Nagy, who's already said Kylie's having a really good camp so far. He plays extremely hard. In fact, sometimes he practices too hard, but that's not a bad thing in Nagy's eyes because, quote, this is what Coach Nagy said. I have to sometimes remind him to make sure to stay away from the quarterback in the throwing motion. He actually came up to me and apologized for it. But you can't fault a kid for trying to play hard, trying to get to the quarterback. So I told him, when we get to the preseason, do it as much as you want. So Kylie Fitz, man, Jeff, he is going hard. He's trying to win a starting job right now with the Chicago Bears.
Well, hey, if you look on their depth chart, on their defensive end of the football, he right now is playing with the starters because their starting outside linebacker, Aaron Lynch, has a hamstring injury. So Kylie Fitz, the guy with the peppers and the sausages, is going to get a lot of reps with that starting unit. So, heck, we could say here a month from now, Kylie Fitz is the starting outside linebacker for the Chicago Bears.
It looks like he's in position to take it. He's already knocking off their socks at Chicago Bears training camp. We knew he was a stud. Sure, he went through quite a bit of injuries from Redlands East Valley, and then remember because he started at UCLA and then Utah. But the talent is there. Everyone saw the potential. Now he's getting a chance to showcase it for the Chicago Bears, and we're fired up to see Kylie Fitz. Hopefully, we're going to see him next Thursday in the Hall of Fame game for sure. But hopefully, he can lock down a starting spot with the Bears. That would be unbelievable as a rookie to have a starting job with Chicago. Okay, a couple other quick news and notes from across the league and training camps. Sam Darnold, the Jets quarterback, formerly of USC, has not signed his rookie deal yet with the Jets. The Jets will have their first day of practice on Friday, but Jeff, all signs point to Sam Darnold getting the deal done by Friday when the Jets take the field.
Yeah, in fact, they're saying he's going to sign a 4-year deal worth $30.2 million with a signing bonus of about $20 million with a 5th-year option. So not bad for Sam Darnold as he walks away with $20 million in his pocket plus some extra change.
So you said, what was that, $30.2 million?
Yes, $30.2 million, and with a signing bonus of $20 million and a fifth-year team option.
All right. Okay, so Baker Mayfield's deal is $32.5 million with the Cleveland Browns, and Baker was the #1 overall pick. So Sam Darnold, who went number 3, compared to Baker Mayfield going #1, that's a difference of about, what, $2 million. So even though it's only, being the number 3 overall pick is huge, but he kind of lost $2 million not going to the Browns, number 1.
Yeah, but if you think about this, both of those quarterbacks you just mentioned, they signed fully guaranteed contracts. We're starting to see this more and more in the NFL. And I'll tell you what, if it starts going with these young guys, the older guys that are going to want that pay scale, they're going to want the same thing, guaranteed money. Quarterback guaranteed money.
Speaking of another quarterback, Carson Wentz, the former starter for the Philadelphia Eagles, and probably the starter once again once he's fully healthy. Right now, Nick Foles is still the guy, and of course, why not? He led him to a Super Bowl last year. But Carson Wentz will start training camp on the PUP list, the unable to perform list. So basically, it just means that he can come off the PUP list whenever he wants. Usually in the NFL, like when you get to the regular season, if you're on the PUP list, you're basically out. I think it's like 60 days. Like you have to wait 60 days to come back to the team. But in training camp, being on the physically unable to perform list, the PUP list, you can come back whenever you're ready. So it's not a huge deal, so don't get scared that Carson Wentz is not recovering from the ACL and the LCL tear that he had. He is on the mend, and we will see him sometime soon. I don't know if he'll be the starter for Week 1, probably not for the Eagles, but he is on the mend, and I'm excited to see him at training camp. Andrew Luck with the Colts, he's going to be playing this preseason. He's been good to go. He's been banged up. He's another guy, another quarterback who's trying to battle back from an injury. We didn't see Andrew Luck at all last season, so we're expecting to see him in the preseason for the first time in a long time. And then also, Jeff, Patriots head coach Bill Belichick had his first press conference at training camp. You know what he told everybody today?
I assume it was a typical Bill Belichick thing. Give it to me, Pep.
Yeah, he said nothing. Basically nothing. They asked him about last season. They asked him about the Super Bowl. They asked him about Malcolm Butler. They asked him about all these things, and he basically just said, yeah, that was last season. I'm not worried about last season. The only thing I'm worried about is getting this team better in training camp. We got a preseason game coming up, and we're going to be ready to play. That was it. That's all he said. He said nothing. But would you really expect anything more from Bill Belichick other than nothing?
No, and you know what? Until somebody from the ownership, we've heard players, disgruntled players, once they leave the Patriots, how much they disliked him. And, the thing is, until the ownership or somebody that's current on this team steps up and says, oh, we're tired of Bill Belichick, I'll tell you what, he's the ball coach. He will continue to be the ball coach, and he is the best NFL coach we've ever seen. So typical Bill Belichick, but I don't blame him at all for saying nothing.
Nope, that's his thing, and he's going to continue to doing it. He gets them to the Super Bowl. They're the biggest football dynasty we've had maybe ever with the New England Patriots. I know you can make a case for a lot of these other teams that we've seen. I'm a 49er fan. I can make a 49er case, but he's built this dynasty. He runs that show. They are continually successful, building championships. He's going to do whatever he wants, and he's not going to change it. When we come back here on the Inland Sports Show, the head basketball coach at UC Riverside, David Patrick, will join us as we look at the Highlanders schedule for the upcoming season. You're listening to the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM.
I played once upon a time at Centennial High School. I was actually on the first ever CIF championship team back in 2000, and then my senior year we won it again. I say that's my passion because I've done it. You know, I know exactly where these athletes are at. I know what their mindset is right now. I know how hard it is to, number one, find a performance coach who can take you to the next level. What sets us apart has to be, you know, how we work with our athletes and what we know. We can take an athlete and you know, help them reach their athletic potential, you know, help them, you know, prevent injuries, help get them stronger. I know every single athlete who steps into this gym. I know exactly where they're at, and I'm going to progress them every week. If you're not getting results, then, you know, really what's it about? We're going to deliver something that's measurable, you know, in terms of speed, power, you know, strength, agility.
We focus on the customer here. Believe it or not, that is the biggest thing for customers on an oil change. They just want the convenience of coming in, driving in, getting it done, and driving out. We just greet them, get them going, and they're done in about 10 minutes or so. We don't push any sales on them. We do the oil change, and I think that's what sets us apart is our customer service. Vacuumed and cleaned your windshield for you as well. Everything's looking pretty good. You come into us one time, believe me, we'll spoil you and you'll be ready to come back the next time.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. We're proudly brought to you by Spoiled Quick Quality Oil Change. You can spoil yourself and your car every 3 or 5,000 miles. Get your oil changed. Go to Spoiled off of Alessandro Boulevard, right there off the 215 freeway between Riverside and Moreno Valley. Got to keep your car going strong. It's hot out there. You know that. Get your oil changed at Spoiled Quick Quality Oil Change. All right, welcome back to the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. In just a couple of moments, we're going to be joined by the head coach of the UCR men's basketball team, David Patrick. As we take a look at the Highlanders' schedule, Jeff, we've had a great week of looking at schedules for the Highlanders and the Lancers. Let's talk a little UCR basketball, and we're going to have David Patrick joining us live here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. Coach Patrick, how are you doing today?
Fantastic, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, Coach Patrick, we're fired up to look at your schedule for the upcoming season and see some of the teams that you're playing and the dates. It all gets started, if we kind of just start from the very top, with the Oregon State Beavers. So you guys will go to Pac-12 territory. You're going to kick off your era as the head coach of the Highlanders up there against the Beavers. How excited are you to play a Pac-12 opponent and also see what you got, play your first real game as the head coach at UC Riverside?
Look, I think, as I'm on the road recruiting and basketball season's around the corner and spending these last 3 months with the guys, it's going to be a great challenge, obviously, to go play on the road. And when you talk about playing a Pac-12 opponent like Oregon State with a great coach and Wayne Tinkle, to be a great challenge for us. But I think something the guys and my staff and I are definitely excited to play against somebody else here.
Now, Coach, there's some other games that are of significance on this schedule, including one at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV, the Runnin' Rebels. I know some of these games were probably already in place when you came on board here at UC Riverside, but others you had to add. When you look at the schedule, like how much influence did you have on this, and how many games were you able to add once you came on board?
Look, we added Oregon State when I got here, and what I would like to do is try to keep us on the West Coast as much as possible. And I inherited some games, from the previous staff. We have to return to Portland State. You mentioned we have to return to UNLV on November 13th. We have to return to Valpo, which is up in Indiana. So we have some challenging road games, and then we have to return to Air Force after Christmas on December 28th. So we have some tough challenges ahead of us, and road games at that. So I wanted to try and get some games that were more in our region, just because with travel, with school, and whatnot. I wanted these guys to not only be ready on the floor, but be ready in the classroom as well.
Well, Coach, I'll tell you what, I'm excited to cover the games this year. And I think you picked these games specifically for me, and I'm going to tell you personally, because Wayne Tinkle and Greg Gottlieb are two of my closest friends, and then Marvin Menzies I worked with at San Diego State, and then Romar at Pepperdine. So I can't wait to do these games because I get to hang out with you and these coaches, and we can talk shop all day long.
No doubt about it. They're all those guys you mentioned are good friends, and I guess I'm in the Lorenzo Romar tree, working for Randy Bennett at St. Mary's, who was his longtime assistant at Pepperdine. So it'll be an exciting time, and a good challenge. It's a good challenge for our team. I think the one more road game we have is at UTEP, which is Rodney Terry, who was at Fresno State, which I think is going to be a good game for us. Talking about two new coaches in two new leagues, so it'll be a good challenge for us.
We're talking with David Patrick, the head men's basketball coach at UC Riverside. And Coach Patrick, Jeff and I were looking at the schedule and talking about some of these games. And I know as a coach you have to say, oh, yeah, we can win all these games. But when Jeff and I look at the schedule, all of these games seem winnable. We know the kind of coach you are already. We know the guys that are coming back. You've been out there on the recruiting trail. I feel like all these games on your schedule, there's winnable games out there. I feel like there's a good chance you guys will be above 500, and who knows what that record might look like before you even get into Big West Conference play. Talk about the confidence that you have, and I know you've got to be humble and respect your opponent, but you got to look at your schedule and feel like, you know what, we're going to be competitive in every single game that we have on our schedule coming up.
don't talk to my guys about, how many games they need to win. Just talk about doing the right thing every day and doing the right thing on the practice floor and within games to give yourself a chance to, eliminate mistakes. Has kind of been our motto from day one here. And so when you look at our schedule, anytime you go on the road, it's tough. But to your point, there are all games where, with the talent that was left here and the ones that we have coming in, I think we can compete every night. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And obviously we're not there. Sometimes you look at a schedule and you say, well, that one we're not going to get, or that one's going to be a little tougher, no matter where you are. But I think these games are all going to be challenging. But we have enough talent on our roster to be able to compete with every game we have on the slate.
Yeah, and Coach, with this new roster and a new look Highlander team, you guys are going to open Big West play against three really good teams with three different looks. Cal State Northridge with Gottfried at the helm, with Jim Herrick as his assistant. That's going to be a vastly different team. Then you go to Santa Barbara, you go to Thunderdome, and I'll tell you what, that program last year, we saw a difference from 2 years ago because they brought in grad transfers and other Division I players, and then you play the defending champs, Cal State Fullerton. Those are three tough games to open the Big West play. But like you said, you have bringing in a core of new guys. I'm excited. Can you tell us a little bit about some of these players you're bringing in?
Look, we've been lucky to get the freshmen in the summer one, so they've actually been on campus now for 4 weeks, and I know you've been around some of them. But look, I think we bring in some more shooting. I think we talked about that in the past, that we had to improve in that area. And we have the kid Dragon Elkaz from Australia, who's definitely made shots in practice since he's got here. And he's keeping our managers busy because he stays in the gym. So I think he'll be a great addition to play in the backcourt there with DK and DJ Sylvester, and then we added Zach Watson from Dallas, who's a 6'7", 6'8", great athlete at the four spot. He's got a great body. He's probably 210 to 215 pounds for a freshman. And he's really, really embraced the weight room. We've added DJ McDonald from up in Alamany and up in LA, a crafty point guard who's really, I'm really pleased with his IQ and his quickness of picking up stuff. So it gives us somebody, I don't know if he'll start or not, but somebody that gives us more depth in the backcourt. And then when you talk about Callum McRae, who you bumped into the other day, he's probably the truest center, I would think, in our league, in terms of size and girth. Callum's all of 7'1", and he's 275 pounds at the moment, if not 280. So we got to drop him some, but he gives us some legitimate size in the post there. And then lastly, Kendall Stubblefield's been on campus. He was NorCal Player of the Year, and he's a great addition, great body. He's a 3'4", about 6'6", 235. So he's got some size. So I think when you add these freshmen, and we have Jordan Gilliam coming in, who's a point guard at a 6'6" point guard out of Salt Lake City Community College. He'll be here for the start of school. And then we added a transfer in George Wilborn from UTSA, who averaged about 8 and 7 a game last year in Conference USA. He'll sit out, so he'll be able to push the guys because he's actually played at a high level. So I think you add those new guys with the veterans we have, and it should be a fun year and challenging at least next 3 months as we get ready for opening season on November 6th.
We're joined by David Patrick, the UC Riverside men's basketball coach, here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. So, Coach, you built this great roster. You've got a great schedule, and I know a lot of people locally are buzzing about that November 29th date against Cal Baptist University. I know you've got ties with Rick Croy and your associate head coach, Justin Bell, obviously has a great relationship with Coach Croy as well over there at CBU. I know locally here in Riverside, the Inland Empire and beyond, a lot of people wanted to see this matchup for a long time. Are you excited just to build some sense of community and a rivalry with those guys, and something that the whole Riverside area can get behind and get excited about college basketball?
Definitely. I was Rick's fan from afar when I was over at TCU and my other stops, and I've been watching Rick from afar, and I'm glad we're playing each other. I think it's great for the city of Riverside. It's probably great for both programs. The only bad part is Rick and I are both competitors, so I'm sure as close as our families are, we won't be on speaking terms for at least for a month or so leading up to the game. That's the only bad part. But I think it's great, for them to have two Division I programs right in our city. I think it does nothing but help the community and help the sport of basketball here in Riverside.
We're talking with David Patrick from UCR. And, Coach Patrick, before we got on the air, Jeff was like, we got to ask him about Ben Simmons. He's the Rookie of the Year. We got to ask him about Ben Simmons, right? So, Coach, what about Ben Simmons? He's the Rookie of the Year. I know Jeff was, he was on the Ben Simmons bandwagon, but he was kind of, he liked Donovan Mitchell with the Utah Jazz as well. But we were both excited to see Ben Simmons get the Rookie of the Year award. Year one in the books. We've seen Kawhi Leonard go to the Raptors. Where do you think Ben Simmons and the 76ers go from here now, Coach?
Look, I think obviously it's a great accomplishment for him and his team. And I know Ben's biggest disappointment was losing in the playoffs there to Boston in that second round of the playoffs. But it definitely shows the difference he made joining that team. Obviously they won 40 more games this year with 30 more games with him at the helm, running that team. And I think I'm hopeful in year two, with Joe Embiid and those two clicking, they should have big things ahead of them in the East. The East is probably a little bit more open now. Whenever LeBron leaves the East, it's kind of a wide open race now. And I would think, without putting any pressure on Brett, that the team should be a top two or three team out there in the East. But he's got a lot to improve on. He's the second year is the hardest year for pros, for NBA guys. So Rookie of the Year is behind him, and he's in the gym working and trying to get better.
Now, Coach, I know you worked hard. You've brought over lots of foreign players at all of your stops. But right now, you guys are in full swing recruiting mode. And you and I talked earlier this week. You guys are all over we're not just talking across the country. You guys are global with UC Riverside. Tell us some of the stops of your assistant coaches and where you're going to be headed off to in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, you know what? I do. I think UC Riverside's a global brand and a national brand, and we want to do that and be present. So my guys have been from Atlanta to Houston to Milwaukee to Portland, down to Australia last weekend. We're in Vegas at the moment. I actually head to Thailand for the Asian Championships in a week's time. So we're definitely out and about, and what we're trying to do is find the best talent, not only in the Inland Empire, but from around the globe to try and help us. And I think when you watch this game from afar, if you watch the NBA, it's become a global game. And there's so much great things to sell here in Riverside. And, we've opened up our program to do that. And my administration at UCR has allowed us to do that. So it's exciting. I wish we could do sightseeing on these stops, but it's sitting in gyms and sitting in hotels. But it's been a good challenge, and it's an easy sell, Riverside.
Well, Coach, I'll tell you what, I want to be your best friend for one reason. You have a lot of frequent flyer miles, and I like to go places. So if you and I become tight buddies, just know that I like to travel quite a bit.
Yeah, I can definitely get you upgraded. I know that. And no problem.
Well, lastly, Coach, I want to ask you this because we know Coach Gorham over here has been helping you out at those UC Riverside camps, which have been going great. I believe there's actually even one more still to come here at UCR from July 30th to August 2nd. You get more information at davidpatrickbasketballcamps.com. But, Coach Patrick, I know Jeff's son Connor's out there. I'm just wondering when you're going to make that offer for Connor Gorham out there.
Look, Connor's a little smarter than his dad, so he's definitely got the IQ. He's definitely got the IQ. He's got the IQ I'm looking for. Now, if you can get some of his dad's height, we may throw the offer out there sooner than later.
Yeah. So there's a chance.
There's a chance. But you know what? The camp's been awesome, man. And Jeff will tell you, we had good numbers the first week of camp. We've had great numbers this second week. And obviously when we get off the road, we hope that the great thing is we've had returners that have brought friends to camp. So that means they had a great experience. And, you know, my coaching staff does a great job, including Jeff, in terms of engaging with the kids. And, I just want these kids to be able to not only be around us, but be around our players, you know, because the program's about the players at hand and the university. And so it's good to get them on campus. So like you said, we have another camp next week, July 30th through the 2nd. And then we have our final elite camp August 4th, which is next Saturday, which, you know, we had 70 kids show up at the last elite camp. And we're hopeful to add to that this next week, because it allows me to identify the players that are in the region, you know, because I have to get caught up to speed pretty quick of the players out in this region. There's some great talent out here.
Well, Coach Patrick, we always appreciate talking with you. I know you're very busy, you know, a globetrotter of sorts, you know, going across the globe, recruiting and the camps and just getting your schedule ready. So many things going on. It's all coming together. I know you still have a little bit of breathing room before the start of the season, so we appreciate you jumping on the show. We always do love talking to you. So thank you, Coach.
You know, thanks so much for reaching out and talking about hoops in July. And, yeah, the season will be here soon before us. And, thanks again, and for all you do for us in our program.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, that's David Patrick, the head basketball coach at UC Riverside. Thanks, Coach. All right, Jeff, the offer for your son Connor, it sounds like it's coming. He just needs to grow a little bit.
Yes, in fact, I'm going to put it out there like every other person in the world.
Every other dad.
I'm going to say that UC Riverside just offered Connor Gorham a scholarship for, I couldn't even tell you what year he graduates. That tells you how bad of a dad I am.
Oh, come
6
on, Dad.
years from now.
Come on, Dad.
Yeah, so 6 years he'll be attending UC Riverside to play for David Patrick.
Hey, when we come back here on the Inland Sports Show, we've got some new juicy details on that San Antonio trade with Toronto that sent Kawhi Leonard to the Raptors. This might sway your opinion. It's actually going to sway, I think, a lot of people in the court of public opinion that you might be in Kawhi Leonard's corner. You might actually get behind Kawhi and be like, you know what? Kawhi's right, man. I would have did the Spurs the exact same way. So we're going to give you these new exclusive details on this trade that looks favorable for our guy, Kawhi Leonard from King High School in Riverside. We'll talk about that next when we come back on the one and only Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM.
How you guys doing? Coach Bass here. We're back at the BPC. Wanted to share with you guys what we're doing today in the gym. Today is all about backward movement. So if you're a football player, lacrosse player, soccer, basketball, any sport that requires backward movement, this drill's for you. Come check it out. So what the athletes are doing here, they're doing a back lateral run. So what I'm looking for here is I want their head back, all right? They're gonna hit a lateral run, they're gonna hit a quick transition. So this is a 90-degree cut. So on all of our 90-degree cuts, it's a single foot cut. And what I'm looking for is just a nice and fluid lateral run with their head looking back. They're gonna dip that inside shoulder, make a nice, crisp and clean cut. They wanna stay on a tight rope, and they wanna accelerate out of it. So for this drill here, it's very similar to the last drill that we just watched. Now we're hitting our lateral run, and we're going at a 135-degree angle. So we're taking it up a notch, we're increasing that angle. So now we're still getting that single foot cut off the inside edge of our foot, and then we want to decelerate at the cone. So again, we want to make a nice and sharp transition. We want to dip that inside shoulder, we want to decelerate. So that's our boost training tip of the day. Thanks for checking us out again. And make sure you stay up to date with everything that's Boost. Check our schedules, check our videos at our website at www.boosttrainingsystems.com. Check out our Twitter at Boost_training and our Instagram at Boost Training. Grind hard, stay solid.
Thank God, first of all. I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is impeccable, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms, or the bling or rhinestones for different shirts for the ladies. That's why we have certain racks just for certain schools, and the fun about that is that it turns into other schools that may come in here that aren't as close, that we can do stuff for them as well. We've had very, very good customers throughout the years, and it's just been a blast.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. This segment proudly brought to you by our good friends at Ken's Sporting Goods. In fact, I got my Ken's shirt on right now. I'm feeling good. It's the best decision I made all day to rock my Ken's Sporting Goods shirt. Listen, you can get your shirt, you can get hats, you can get football helmets, a baseball glove, anything to do with soccer. They've got it all at Ken's Sporting Goods. You can buy local, support this company that's been here since 1976, man. They've been doing it right for over 40 years. They can do it for your whole team. You need uniforms? They can do it. They can even help you design it. You could have something new. You could roll out to your new high school football season looking sharp, like you're the best team on the planet. But only if you go to Ken's Sporting Goods. If you don't go to Ken's and you got those old uniforms, everyone's just going to laugh at you and you're going to finish like 0-10 in the regular season. But if you go to Ken's, you could be the best. Ken's Sporting Goods out there in Norco, Horsetown, USA, off the 15 freeway. Isn't that right, Jeff? Like, if you feel good about yourself, we were just talking about buying new shoes off the air. Like, if you feel good about yourself and you're confident, man, you could take on the world.
I'm telling you, yeah, we were just talking. Let's pull the curtain back a little bit. You and I are going to have team shoes for the Inland Sports Show.
Team shoes?
We're going to get team shoes. And I'll tell you what, we're going to look great when we're going to high school football games. We're going to college basketball. You and I are on the road, we will have the sharpest shoes on the planet. I'm excited. We got to get some new polo shirts. We'll have to go through Ken's to get some of those new polos because I'll tell you, we're looking at that UCR schedule and they're all over the world. We got to get this brand out there. The Inland Sports. If I'm in Valpo, Indiana, I want somebody to go, what's the Inland Sports Show? And then we're going to tell them, and we are going to become global. Global, my friend.
Yeah, you know what? The last thing I want to do is walk into Valparaiso or UNLV or Western Michigan and walk in with my old, jankety, nasty, beat-up running shoes, and people will be like, oh, that guy's from the Inland Sports Show? That's an Inland Empire guy? Look at him, man. He's all tore up. He's a real ragamuffin over there. I don't want people to think that. I want to walk into the room and be like, man, that guy just went to Ken's. He's all put together. Did you see those shoes? Yeah, that's the Inland Sports Show, man. First class all the way. That's what I want people to think.
Hey, and Pep, I was looking at that schedule. You and I are going to be on the road. Hey, when we go to Las Vegas, I'm going to show you the time of your life. You might not come back the same person. The head coach at UNLV is one of my closest friends, Marvin Menzies. And I'll tell you what, before he was the head coach at UNLV, he was an assistant at San Diego State and was the head coach at University of New Mexico. And we would, routinely get together in Vegas, and he would show me all of the great food places in Vegas, all of the hot spots. You and I and Coach Menzies and Coach Patrick, we're going to tear that city apart, my friend.
Jeff, I've got to be honest with you. I'm already having the time of my life right now. If you could see me right now on the Inland Sports Channel, I'm sipping on an iced coffee. I've got Juventus and Bayern Munich in soccer playing right behind me. I'm in air conditioning. I've got board shorts on. I'm talking sports with you. Like, it doesn't get – I am having the time of my life. This is it, man. It doesn't get any better for me. This is it.
Yeah, I'm sitting in my parents' spare bedroom because I couldn't get to the station. I couldn't get home, so I had to find a happy medium. So I'm sitting in my parents' spare bedroom. I got my son in the other room playing video games or hanging out with Grandma and Grandpa. I'm shirtless, drinking a cold water. And it's hot, my friend. It's 109, and my parents, I don't know if your parents are like this, Pep, but my parents, I like the air turned down to 70 because, I got solar. I'm wealthy. We all know that. I like my house freezing. My parents have it set to like 78 because, they're concerned about the bill.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned about heat stroke. So I'm sweating here. I'm shirtless, but I do look really – you talked about confidence. There's a mirror in front of me, and my pecs look incredible today. So I have an air of confidence just sitting in my parents' spare bedroom looking at myself.
Can I tell you a quick story for you
Yes.
and everyone in the Inland Empire? My wife still brings up to this day that when we first got married, I would not let her turn the AC below 80.
What?
Yeah, that's a true story. And she'll be like, "Remember, you wouldn't let me turn the AC below 80." She's like, "You wouldn't let me turn it below 80 until we had our first child, until we had Alana, and then I let her put it down to like 78." But when we first got married, I'm cheap, man. I got old shoes over here. I make my own iced coffee. I cut my own hair. I'm cheap, and I wouldn't let her turn it below 80. And we lived in hot, steamy Bakersfield. It was a mess.
Dude, I'm surprised she didn't divorce you,
Yeah,
honestly.
I've learned a lot the last couple of years. I've grown up, and I've learned a lot, Jeff.
Well, you sound like you're about an 84-year-old man going, don't turn up don't turn up the air conditioning. Down here in Boca, we like to play canasta. I like to eat finger sandwiches, and I like to listen to my Dodgers. I tell you, that's what you sound like, Pep Fernandez.
That's me. I'm an old man in a big, young, beautiful body, but I'm an old man. I'm an old man. Okay, so the trade is done between the Raptors and the Spurs. So Kawhi Leonard passed his physical, and that was basically crossing the T's and dotting the I's. It's a done deal now. Kawhi Leonard is a member of the Toronto Raptors. It happened last night when he passed the physical. But, Jeff, here is what's interesting about this. The fact that they went through these physicals to basically consummate the trade, right, make it official. But Danny Green of the San Antonio Spurs, who was also part of this trade from San Antonio to Toronto, they discovered on Danny Green that he played all of last season with a torn groin muscle that Spurs doctors had no idea that he had. It went undetected that he played with a torn groin. Now, if the Spurs doctors missed something like that, what does that now say for Kawhi Leonard and his quad injury when he and his camp and his uncle or whoever else is in his small circle, they thought, you know what, the Spurs doctors, they might have this wrong. In hindsight, now that we learned this about Danny Green, are you kind of in Kawhi's corner?
No. I'll tell you why.
Why?
No. Here's why. Danny Green is not the player Kawhi Leonard is. And Danny Green, if it was such an issue, I would think that I would have faith in my team doctors. They are medical doctors. They've been to school forever. You would put a little faith that they know what they're talking about. But Danny Green's numbers didn't drop off at all. If you looked at his numbers this year, his numbers were as good as they have ever been. That's why he opted in. Remember, he opted in to stay with San Antonio to play, hoping he would have a bigger role next year. He didn't know he was getting shipped off to Toronto. I think he's just one of those guys that's kind of just has a toughness about him, and he can play through pain. I'm not too sure Kawhi Leonard can play through the pain because he refused to see the San Antonio doctors after he was told he was cleared, and then we never heard from him again. Until I hear something from Kawhi Leonard, a phone call to me or a speaking out in the press, the paper, I'm not going to be real sure if I believe Kawhi Leonard.
Well, when I saw that headline that Danny Green played the entire season with a torn groin muscle and the Spurs doctors had no idea, my first thought, well, if they missed this on Danny Green, how could they, maybe they misdiagnosed, maybe they missed something on Kawhi Leonard because Kawhi Leonard's their franchise player. You think if anyone's going to get attention by the doctors, excuse me, it's going to be Kawhi Leonard. So, maybe, possibly there was a chance that an injury, the quad injury that Kawhi had, that it was, I don't say misdiagnosed, but maybe they didn't fully know the situation of what this quad, injury was or entailed or what the recovery looked like. With Danny Green playing an entire season, like you said, there was no drop-off. There was nothing so sudden about, oh my gosh, he's got an injury, and that's why his numbers plummeted. There was nothing sudden about it. But still, with the fact that the Spurs doctors had no idea, and it came up in this physical during the trade with Toronto, it kind of makes the Spurs doctors look a little silly. It puts them in a negative shadow here that maybe Kawhi Leonard and his people knew something behind the scenes that, hey, we can't trust those Spurs doctors. I don't know. It's not a good look for San Antonio.
No, maybe you got to fire those ding dongs. Maybe they're fake doctors. Maybe they're doctors with PhDs instead of MDs behind their name. But yeah, something does. I agree. It does sound fishy and does sound silly. But at least Danny Green's come out and talked about it. That's the only point I say is he is able to come out and go, hey, yeah, they misdiagnosed me. I'm fine though. But we've heard nothing from Kawhi Leonard.
No, nothing, and we've seen nothing either. The only little bit that we have seen of Kawhi Leonard was that picture on Instagram from the Toronto Raptors saying, hey, look who it is. It's Kawhi Leonard. He has reported to the team. He's open-minded. We're going to work things out. That's all we've seen. That's why I was hoping so desperately that Kawhi Leonard would pop up in Las Vegas this week for that USA minicamp. Even if he didn't talk to the media, we would still see him on the court and practicing. So it would at least give us a little something extra so we can continue this conversation and jump to conclusions and either say, oh, man, he doesn't look healthy yet, or, man, he looks great. He's all the way back, man. The Toronto, man, they got a good one. Kawhi Leonard is healthy. He's 100%. He's ready to go. I just wanted to see him on the court. Even if he didn't talk to the media, although that's my ultimate wish is I want him to talk. But even if we saw him on the court, we could then make our own conclusions about where he is in his recovery process and is he good to go this season for the Toronto Raptors. But, Jeff, we're not even going to get that. In fact, minicamp started today in Las Vegas with Greg Popovich leading the way, and he's not there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If this is the weekend to go to Vegas, I know I'm just going to tell you this. Not only do you have the NBA players that are playing for Team USA, but you have all of the top 35 or 40 college players there as well for their mini camp, because they do play, a 22 and under tournaments. Team USA will split. They'll take the NBA players. The NBA players will play in the World Championships, but the college players that, they're grooming for the future in the NBA, they will play in smaller tournaments across the world here for the next year and a half or so. So the world of basketball, the mecca right now is in Las Vegas. Every high school team, every travel ball team is in Las Vegas this weekend. Every college player's in, and every NBA player this weekend. So the one place I want to be is where Coach Patrick is right now, and every college coach is Las Vegas. That is awesome.
Jeff, my idea of a good time in Las Vegas is sleeping in, laying by the pool with an iced coffee, going to a buffet, going back to my room, taking a nap, and then going to, see like Jerry Seinfeld's show at night or something like that. That's my ideal of a good time. And then get back in time like 11 o'clock, so you're still early. You can slip in bed and watch some Star Wars videos on YouTube.
Did you say 11 o'clock you go to bed when you're in Vegas?
Yeah, 11 p.m.
Oh, yeah. You and I, when we go to Vegas, you're going to be out until like 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. We're gonna turn that city upside down. You're going to be a different person. You're honestly, you're going to come back a completely different soul when you come back from Vegas.
You know what? I hope that Vegas, the UNLV game, maybe that's a quick turnaround. Like you get there, play the game, turn around, and come back. Very similar to what they did in Montana last year. A quick turnaround.
No, I want it to be a 4-day deal.
No.
I want you so exhausted when you get home that you can't open your eyes. That is the time I'm going to give you, Pep. I'm going to ruin you. You're going to age 10 years in 4 days.
You know what, Jeff, full disclosure, you probably know this. I am a night owl. Like, I do stay up pretty late. I don't like getting up early. But, yeah, I do like to get all cozy in bed, and I get on YouTube, and I watch all my Star Wars theory videos, and it puts me to sleep, and then I wake up in a good mood, man.
No, I'm telling you this. When you go with me to Vegas, you're going to come back poor.
No.
And I know you're not a drinker. You're going to be hungover, and instead of being 40, you're going to be 55 years old.
Oh, no, that does not sound like a good time.
Oh, that sounds like a great time, my friend, and you're going to enjoy it with me this year, buddy.
I'm going to get a hold of Coach Patrick and be like, hey, can I schedule the travel itinerary for that trip to UNLV, because I really need to get back like right after the game.
Nope. It's not happening.
All right, Jeff, when we come back, our pledge to the Inland Empire is talk high school football every single show. We love high school football. In fact, nobody loves high school football like we do. We love it. We're going to break down some Inland Empire football when we come back because every single day we are looking at different leagues. We're going to size up the teams in that league, where they might finish in that league, who might make a CIF title run. We looked at the Big 8 League yesterday. When we come back on the Inland Sports Show, we will look at the River Valley League. They had 5 league champions last year. Will that happen again? We'll talk about that next on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM.
Focus on the customer here. Believe it or not, that is the biggest thing for customers on an oil change. They just want the convenience of coming in, driving in, getting it done, and driving out. Just greet them, get them going, and they're done in about 10 minutes or so. We don't push any sales on them. We do the oil change, and I think that's what sets us apart is our customer service. Vacuumed and cleaned your windshield for you as well. Everything's looking pretty good. Come into us one time, believe me, we'll spoil you and you'll be ready to come back the next time.
We're small, family-owned, strive for quality pre-owned vehicles. We're not a volume dealer, and we take every deal as personal to us. We're a low-stress environment. We're not a pressure sales house. If you want to shop us, you're more than welcome to shop us. We have, like I said, great rates, competitive financing, a lot of one-owner, clean Carfax, clean title vehicles. As you see, we have Carfax everywhere. That's most important to us, to educate our customers before they make a purchase. We're right off of Ontario, right off a couple exits off the 15 freeway, off Cajelco, off El Cerrito, and we're right on the main drag going into Dos Logos and the crossings. We have great financing. We have great lenders that we're using. We do buy, sell, trade, cash for your car. Whatever we need to do to help accommodate the customer, that's what we're here for. We have a little bit of everything. We start at about $69.95 and go all the way up to $100,000. We have Escalades, we have commuters, we have pickup trucks, we have Jeeps, sport utilities, and if we don't have it, our specialty is finding you exactly what you're looking for.
Welcome back to the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM. This segment brought to you by Catalano Motors in Corona off of Temescal Canyon Road. You can save $500 right now by just mentioning the Inland Sports Show. Why would you not? Don't you want the extra money in your pocket? That's $500. Plus, you know they have weekly specials at Catalano Motors. So, excuse me. So you're already going to save thousands of dollars. So you're saving thousands. You mentioned the Inland Sports Show, and that's another $500 off. You're going to have tons of extra money to take your new whip around and do lots of fun things around the Inland Empire. So if you go to Catalano Motors, get ready because you're going to have lots of extra money in your pocket. CatalanoCars.com is the website. Check them out. Catalano Motors in Corona off of Temescal Canyon Road. Jeff, we have a pledge to the Inland Empire, and I don't take these pledges very lightly. When I say this, I speak the truth. It comes from deep within the heart that we will talk high school football on this show every single day. And we're at a point of the year, Jeff, even high schools are starting their training camp. Just like NFL, the high schools are starting their training camps. They're getting ready for their first game of the season. A lot of them will have it in week 0, August 17th. So our pledge to everyone out there, because the season is so close now, is we're talking high school football, and we're going to examine and look at a league every single day. Today is the day for the River Valley League. And Jeff, when you go back to last year, there was not a more bizarre situation than what we saw unfold in the River Valley League.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Everybody played really. It was like a millennial league. You know, everybody gets a ribbon for participation. Would you agree there?
Yeah, everybody won.
There was a 5-way tie for first place. So if you go to those 5 high schools, Patriot, La Sierra, Norte Vista, Ramona, and Hillcrest, you go to their gym and you look on the wall and you see those banners. Each one of them have a River Valley League championship banner in their gym for football. The positive thing is, you can say Harupa Valley, who hasn't been very good or hasn't been very competitive the last 10 years. Hey, second place, Pep.
Yeah, I guess that's the good news if you're Supa Dupa Harupa there. But Jeff, we've got to have a true league champion this season. We can't have another bizarre finish. I know, it's competitive, and all the teams were very equal, and teams were, knocking off each other, creating this weird. I think they all finished. What was it, 3-2? That was first place, right?
Everybody finished 3-2.
It was just wacky. It was bizarre. I've covered high school football from the top of California to the bottom of California. I had never seen anything like that. Sometimes you have co-champions, and every great once in a while, you might see 3 teams tie for first place. And I'm not talking just football. It's so rare that you might have to, I don't know if it's softball or soccer, but it's very rare to see 3 teams tie for first. But to see 5 teams tie for first place in the River Valley League for football, it was one of the wackiest things I've ever seen. And what was crazy is, I think it was La Sierra, right? That a league champ, but they did not make the playoffs. They were the odd team out.
Yeah, that is strange. I was just going to bring that up if you wouldn't have. Is that there were, La Sierra didn't make the playoffs, yet they've got first place in their league. Strange situation. But if you talk about the River Valley League as a whole, about the players that are returning and the players that left, you can only really say that one player who stood out has left the River Valley League. That's Cordell Labrie that was at Hillcrest. If you look top to bottom, everyone else has their studs, their dudes coming back.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting, I think, this year in the River Valley League. Gary Headland's got La Sierra on the rise. I think Norta Vista is going to be even better than what they were last year. Hillcrest lost some guys, including Labrie, so they've got some spots they're going to definitely have to fill out there. And who am I leaving out? Novi lost here. Oh, Ramona. Ken Mashinsky out there at Ramona High School at Ram High. That's your school, Jeff. We saw them a little bit at Passing League at Temecula Valley. They've got some size. They always seem to find a couple skill guys that they can lean on to carry the offense. I think, again, it will be interesting, but I don't think there's any way that we see a 5-way tie. Maybe a co-league title, though. I mean, because I don't see a lot of separation between, it's like, let's say Norta Vista, for example. Hey, Norta Vista, we feel like might be the best team in the league. But are they that much better than everybody else? Are they going to run away and, just clobber everyone in the River Valley League? I don't think we're seeing that separation right now in the River Valley League. It might be another battle for the league title, but I don't think it's going to be like seeing 5 different teams finish at 3-2 in league play. I don't think we'll ever see that again.
No, and you talked about the front runner. You have to put Norta Vista as the perennial favorite just because they've won so many games under the tutelage of Ken Battendorf. I think this is his 25th year, which makes him the longest tenured coach in the Riverside area, possibly the entire Inland Empire. And you look at that team, the biggest questions that I have are, they've got a great running back in Chris Malesio, and an upcoming freshman, the little brother of Freddie Hawley, who's the starting running back at University of Hawaii. But their biggest question mark is that offensive line. They had huge freshmen last year. They're sophomores now. I know they've worked hard in the weight room, but is that sophomore line mature enough to handle those great running backs?
Well, maybe the biggest addition to Novi is the return of your guy, Andy Martinez, right? He was over at Hillcrest for a little bit. Now he's back at Norta Vista. I know he's a big fan of the show, so we want to give Coach Martinez a shout out here.
Yeah, and it was a coaching carousel among the River Valley League. Norta Vista lost Ray Villarreal, who was their offensive coordinator. He left to go coach alongside Rick Covington at Harupa Valley. A couple other coaches on that Norta Vista staff, Coach Gaines, he went over with Coach Covington. I know Coach Brandon lost his offensive and defensive coordinator. His offensive coordinator ended up going over to San Bernardino Valley to help out Coach Algadas. And like you said, the aforementioned Coach Martinez left to go become the defensive coordinator at Norta Vista.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, they're kind of woven together in the River Valley League. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these coaches know each other. They kind of bounce around a little bit because they have tight relationships here in Riverside, especially inside the River Valley League. So they're very familiar with one another, and maybe that kind of breeds this league where it's so competitive and it's so close because these coaches know each other. They know what they're going to run. I mean, has Ken Batdorf ever changed his offense? You know they're going to run the football, right? They'll have a great running back or two. They'll have a big physical line, offensive line, to pave the way for the running backs. That's what they do. It's not like he's going to, roll out a spread offense where the quarterback's going to throw 40 times a game. They know Ken Batdorf. They know what he's going to do.
Yeah, I'll tell you, they're going to run house right, house left, house up the middle. I called it, and everybody kind of scoffed, but I call it the child abuse offense. You just pound off of those big offensive linemen, and the luxury is Ken Batdorf's had great running backs over the last 5 years, 6 years. He had a CIF Player of the Year in Andrew Martinez. He was a junior. They bring in Freddie Holly. Freddie Holly takes his spot. He gets thousands of yards, and then you bring in Eric Malesio, who had the second best year of any running back in the history, not in Inland Empire football, but national high school football. He always has running backs. My biggest questions are in the River Valley League is we saw Ramona High School, we saw Coach Mashinsky, we saw that they've improved with their strength and their athletic ability, but we don't know a lot about Patriot. That's the one question I have, is how good is Patriot going to be? They were a 5-way tie for first place. Is Patriot going to bring back the same guys, and will they make that jump to be the league champs?
Yeah, that's a great point, Jeff. I mean, because we spend so much time talking about, the great running backs they've had at Norte Vista, and Gary Hedlund getting La Sierra back on track. And I know Ramona had a great tailback in Isaiah Baker, and at Hillcrest they had Cordell Labrie. And I feel like Patriot almost gets lost in the mix, but make no mistake, the Warriors, obviously they were there in the end because they shared that league championship with everybody else. I think that could be a wild card as well because, you look at a lot of these teams, if you lose your key players, that's the definition of a program, is can you fill those spots? And for Norte Vista, they were young last year, so look, who has the most returning? You might have to point to Norte Vista, I would say. I mean, it's hard to say at this point, but having, Chris Malesio back and having some young up-and-comers on the offensive line, got to point to maybe Novi as the favorite to win league.
Yeah, and you have to, just because you have Ken Batdorf, the continuity of that offense, the continuity of the defense, they always seem to fill these offensive linemen with these puzzle pieces. They're all kind of similar. A few years ago, they had the kid that played at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and then over at Redlands, they always have these great offensive linemen, and it helps when you have guys that can run the football.
Stanton Manumaleuna and Solomon Iasefa, right? Your guys.
There you go.
All right, we come back on the Inland Sports Show. Social media is all abuzz about Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley had that huge extension with the Rams. Le'Veon Bell's waiting for his. We're going to stack up those two running backs together and see who has the better tailback. Is it Pittsburgh or is it the LA Rams? We'll talk about that next on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM.
How you guys doing? Coach Bass here. We're back at the BPC continuing our training series on developing power for off-season football players. So today we're going to work on alternating bench press, and it's all going to be about power. So Ian, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and lie back on the bench. I love programming this drill here for linemen, really for all athletes, but especially for linemen, D linemen, because they're always grappling, they're always striking. You want to be nice and strong and powerful. So what he's going to do, he's going to alternate. He's going to go down 2 seconds. He's going to pause 1. He's going to go up 1. Let's hit it. Good. Going really fast on the way up. So again, working on 3 different aspects of strength here. We got that slow eccentric coming down, right? We got that isometric pause there, and then we got that fast contraction coming up, that fast concentric. So, like I said, we're working on 3 different aspects of strength. This is a great drill to maximize power, and we do it right here at Boost. Grind hard, stay solid. How you guys doing? Coach Bass here. I want to talk a little bit about today's training tip. We showed you guys the dumbbell alternating speed press, all right, and we talked about was a 2-1-X tempo. I want to show you guys how we progress this exercise and continue to maximize power. So with that 2-1-X tempo, we go down 2 seconds, we pause for 1, and we go up fast. So what we'll do is over time, we'll progress those tempos. So we'll go from a 2-1-X to a 1-1-X tempo. We go down 1 second, pause for 1, and we get that fast concentric contraction. And then finally we'll go to an X1X tempo where we go down fast to isometric pause and then fast up. So really what we're doing is we're just developing speed, developing power through different muscle contractions. That's how we progress our drills right here at Boost.
Focus on the customer here. Believe it or not, that is the biggest thing for customers on an oil change. They just want the convenience of coming in, driving in, getting it done, and driving out. Just greet them, get them going, and they're done in about 10 minutes or so. We don't push any sales on them. We do the oil change, and I think that's what sets us apart is our customer service. Vacuumed and cleaned your windshield for you as well. Everything's looking pretty good. Come into us one time, believe me, we'll spoil you and you'll be ready to come back the next time.
How you guys doing? Coach Bass here. We're back at the BPC continuing our training series on developing power for off-season football players. So today we're going to work on a dumbbell alternating bench press, and it's all going to be about power. So Ian, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and lie back on the bench. I love programming this drill here for linemen, really for all athletes, but especially for linemen, D-linemen, because they're always grappling, they're always striking. You want to be nice and strong and powerful. So what he's going to do, he's going to alternate. He's going to go down 2 seconds. He's going to pause 1. He's going to go up 1. Let's hit it. Good, going really fast on the way up. So again, working on 3 different aspects of strength here. We got that slow eccentric coming down, right? We got that isometric pause there, and then we got that fast contraction coming up, that fast concentric. So, like I said, we're working on 3 different aspects of strength. This is a great drill to maximize power, and we do it right here at Boost. Grind hard, stay solid. How you guys doing? Coach Bass here. I want to talk a little bit about today's training tip. We showed you guys the dumbbell alternating speed press, all right, and we talked about was a 2-1-X tempo. I want to show you guys how we progress this exercise and continue to maximize power. So with that 2-1-X tempo, we go down 2 seconds, we pause for 1, and we go up fast. So what we'll do is over time, we'll progress those tempos. So we'll go from a 2-1-X to a 1-1-X tempo. We go down 1 second, pause for 1, and we get that fast concentric contraction. And then finally we'll go to an X1-X tempo where we go down fast to isometric pause and then fast up. So really what we're doing is we're just developing speed, developing power through different muscle contractions. That's how we progress our drills right here at Boost.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. We're going to talk a little NFL. Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell. Who's the best running back in the NFL right now? It's all brought to you by Spoiled Quick Quality Oil Change. You can spoil yourself and your car every single time you go to Spoiled. If you do the math, it's like 4 times a year. You pop in there, you get treated like a king. They take care of your car. Great customer service, low prices. Everyone's getting their oil changed at Spoiled. Quick quality oil change. If you're asking, where is Spoiled? It's off of Alessandro Boulevard near the 215 freeway, smack dab between Riverside and Moreno Valley. So whether you live in the Riv or Grand Terrace or Moreno Valley or Paris, it's very close to you. It's in the smack dab middle of a lot of different places. Go check it out. Spoiled. Quick quality oil change. Jeff and I, we take our cars there. We love it every single time. And, Jeff, let's talk a little NFL here as we kind of talked yesterday a lot about that Todd Gurley contract extension. It's going to be 4 years, $60 million. It will keep him with the Rams. Let me do the math. 2023, so a total of 6 seasons because he still has 2 more years on this current contract. And then the 4-year extension. So 6 years total that he will still be with the Rams. He is 23 years old. So when this contract and extension wrap up, he'll still be 29 years old. He'll probably get another big contract when this is all said and done. Will it be with the Rams or not? That's way in the future. I'm not even going to speculate about that. But what we know right now is Todd Gurley will be the Rams guy for the next 6 seasons. Now, Le'Veon Bell, Jeff, with the Steelers, he's holding out. He wants his contract. And when he saw Todd Gurley get the big extension, he went to social media. And first he congratulated Todd, said, yeah, great job, awesome, congrats, Todd. But then he tweeted out, LOL, that's laugh out loud, LOL, and people thought I was tripping. So people were trying to give Le'Veon Bell a bad name because he wanted more money. But here's Todd Gurley, went out and got more money. And, I think Le'Veon Bell thinks he's probably worth more than Todd Gurley, right? I mean, do you think that's what's going through his mind right now?
I think that's what's going through his mind, but I'll tell you what, there's 1 year left on this Le'Veon Bell deal. I mean, why don't you, if I was the Steelers, and, I'll be honest, I think Mike Tomlin, the ownership, the general managers, I think I would pretty much be done with Le'Veon Bell. I would say, look, you have a contract to play this year, or you don't get paid. Simple as that. Show up, play your season, and then I'll tell you, are the Steelers that much better or that much worse without him? I don't think so. Ben Roethlisberger is older. He's not the quarterback he was. The Steelers are not going to be the team. I'll tell you what, this could be a time for the Steelers to kind of rid themselves of Le'Veon Bell. He's had his off-the-field issues. Play this season, become an unrestricted free agent, and then it's a rebuild mode because your quarterback's old, your running back who's a troubled one you get rid of, start over, and I'm tired of hearing the Le'Veon Bell questions. Move on from Le'Veon Bell if you are the Steelers.
Yeah, he's kind of a knucklehead. So is Antonio Brown. It's kind of a weird locker room they have right now with the Steelers. But let's that aside, personalities, off the field things. Let's put that aside. Let's go by the numbers right now. So Todd Gurley's extension works out to be about $15 million per season. So if you take his current contract, which he's going to make over $2 million this year and over $9 million next year. So if you take his current contract with the 4-year extension, if you take that total of 6 years, he's going to make close to $72 million. That works out to just about $12 million per year with the Rams. Le'Veon Bell was asking the Steelers for about $17 million per season. So he wanted $5 million per season more than what Todd Gurley is currently getting. My question for you, Jeff, and we're going to look at the stats right now, is, if you're a football team, would you pay more for Todd Gurley or Le'Veon Bell?
I would simply tell you I would pay for Gurley. Remember, Gurley was Rookie of the Year. He had that second year, which wasn't the best year ever, but then he comes back, and like I said, he had the best year of any running back, receiving, rushing, touchdowns. better than anybody except for Herschel Walker 30 years ago. There's no doubt in my mind I go with Gurley. For one reason, he's a better player, and two, he's younger than Le'Veon Bell, 3 years younger.
Okay, so let's go by the numbers again, because maybe outside of Tom Brady, Todd Gurley was the best offensive player in the NFL. In fact, he was the NFL Offensive Player of the Year last year. So you mentioned Le'Veon Bell, 26 years old. These were the Le'Veon Bell stats from a year ago. On the ground, rushing the football, he had 321 carries for 1,291 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's Le'Veon Bell. Here's Todd Gurley. 279 carries, 1,305 yards, and 13 touchdowns. So, Jeff, just looking at the run game, their rushing stats, Todd Gurley had about, let me do some quick math, about 40 less carries, yet still had more yards than Le'Veon Bell, and he had 4 more touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Todd Gurley had just one of those seasons. I mean, he had 19 touchdowns. I think Bell had 10 on the year. But we're talking about a rookie quarterback playing with a young running back. That's with the Rams. If we're going with the Steelers, you're going with an older running back who has had more carries, and you're playing with a quarterback that is at the end of his rope. What are you going to do a year from now, 2 years from now, if you give Le'Veon Bell that huge contract he's asking for, but yet you have a quarterback that is not ready to play in that system? They're going to have to draft young. Do you want to have a young quarterback playing with an older running back and be dependent on running the football every single time with a new quarterback?
Yeah, that's kind of the world that the Steelers are living in right now, because they got Ben Roethlisberger, who's not going to play forever, but they got 2 young superstars in Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, so they're going to have to mesh the present. And I don't want to say Ben Roethlisberger was the past, because he's still a great quarterback, but they do have that bridge to gap. Now, we were just talking about the rushing stats for Todd Gurley. If you needed more convincing that Todd Gurley is worth more than Le'Veon Bell, and 3 years younger, might I remind you, Le'Veon Bell had 655 receiving yards, and Gurley had 788 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. So Le'Veon Bell, he did have 85 receptions, which is about 20 more than Todd Gurley, but Todd Gurley still had more yards and he had more touchdowns through the air. So whether you're talking about receiving, catching the ball from out of the backfield, or getting carries and making the most of it, Todd Gurley had less carries but more yards than Le'Veon Bell. If you're Le'Veon Bell, and if you just go by the numbers, Todd Gurley is a better running back than he is right now. And if Todd Gurley is averaging about $12 million per year through this extension, how can Le'Veon Bell ask for much more?
He just can't. And you got to look at the Rams offense. How many offensive weapons did Jack Skellington have? He threw to everybody in that Rams offense, and yet Gurley got less receiving shots and had more yards and more touchdowns. You got to go with Todd Gurley. Le'Veon Bell, you got to keep your mouth shut. Play the rest of the season and see what you can get in free agency next year. Don't hold the Pittsburgh Steelers hostage over $5 million more dollars than a guy who's better than you.
Yeah, they even said it was reported that the Steelers, their final offer to Le'Veon Bell was in the neighborhood of 5 years, $70 million. And if you do the math, that's about $12 million per year. That's what Todd Gurley is getting. So it sounds like that was a reasonable offer by Pittsburgh that's basically on par for a running back of his status. You know what I mean? Like, I would say Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell are probably the top, at least top 3 running backs right now in the NFL. If Gurley's getting about $12 million, Le'Veon Bell should expect about $12 million per year, I would think.
Yeah, it's silly. In fact, Mike Tomlin today said he's done with the Le'Veon Bell questions. Just about an hour ago, he stepped up to the mic, and that's all he was peppered with was Le'Veon Bell this, Le'Veon Bell that. And he said he's done with it. that tells you right there when your head football coach isn't open to talk about Le'Veon Bell. I think the writing's on the wall. I think he had his opportunity. He had $30 million guaranteed in that first offer. But when Todd Gurley accepted that offer, he has to get less than Todd Gurley. Has to.
Well, don't feel too bad for Le'Veon Bell because the Steelers put the franchise tag on him for this season, and he's going to make close to $15 million. So it's not like he's getting underpaid. In fact, he might be getting overpaid with this franchise tag, but he wants more. He wants in the neighborhood of $17 million a year, and the Steelers are more like, nah, it's going to be closer to $12 million per year. But right now with the franchise tag, he's going to make $14.95 million per year. So almost $15 million. So Le'Veon Bell is doing just fine. Just report to camp. Do your work. And I'm sure it might not be with Pittsburgh, but he will get his money somewhere else. And I don't know how much more it will be than Todd Gurley, but Todd Gurley is kind of that benchmark right now for star running backs after this newest contract extension. Jeff, when we come back on the Inland Sports Show, let's talk about all of the star power right now in the city of Los Angeles. We know in the Inland Empire, there's a lot of Laker fans. There's a lot of Dodger fans. Soccer is very big in the IE. Right now, there's a ton of stars in Southern California in professional sports. We're going to talk about that next when we come back on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM.
We're small, family-owned, strive for quality pre-owned vehicles. We're not a volume dealer, and we take every deal as personal to us. We're a low-stress environment. We're not a pressure sales house. If you want to shop us, you're more than welcome to shop us. We have, like I said, great rates, competitive financing, a lot of one-owner, clean Carfax, clean title vehicles. As you see, we have Carfax everywhere. That's most important to us, to educate our customers before they make a purchase. We're right off of Ontario, right off a couple exits off the 15 freeway, off Cajelco, off El Cerrito, and we're right on the main drag going into Dos Logos and the Crossings. We have great financing, we have great lenders that we're using. We do buy, sell, trade, cash for your car. Whatever we need to do to help accommodate the customer, that's what we're here for. We have a little bit of everything. We start at about $69.95 and go all the way up to $100,000. We have Escalades, we have commuters, we have pickup trucks, we have Jeeps, sport utilities, and if we don't have it, our specialty is finding you exactly what you're looking for.
thank God, first of all. I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is impeccable, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms, or the bling or rhinestones for different shirts for the ladies. That's why we have certain racks just for certain schools, and the fun about that is that it turns into other schools that may come in here that aren't as close, that we can do stuff for them as well. We've had very, very good customers throughout the years, and it's just been a blast.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. Welcome back to the show. And let's see, we've got a lot to get to still here on the show because we want to talk about the star power in the city of Angels. It's all brought to you by our good friends at Kin Sporting Goods. More than 40 years in the Inland Empire with all of your sporting gear needs, and they can do Letterman's jackets as well. That's Kin Sporting Goods off the 15 freeway in Norco. All right, Jeff, we've got lots of star power to talk about here on the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. And, of course, LeBron James leading the way, right? He's the big fish when we talk about the stars in Los Angeles in professional sports. He's the biggest of the big. When LeBron James came to Los Angeles, I think it kind of changed the dynamic for, just teams in LA, would you say, bringing the Lakers back to relevance?
Well, it's very evident. I've been working basketball camps this summer, Pep, and I'll tell you this. Since his signing, every single day I go to camp, there's a different kid with a different version of the LeBron James Lakers uniform. So when you see those Laker uniforms showing up again, because they haven't been seen in a few years, there haven't been a lot of Lonzo Ball jerseys or Kyle Kuzma's. It's always been Bryant on the back of the shirt, and it's really kind of a strange feeling, and just a weird vibe when you see James on the back of a Laker jersey.
Yeah, you know what? I've seen a couple of them, and I've gone to, I don't know, just go to the mall. You'll see LeBron James jerseys. There's LeBron James jerseys hanging in the windows of like the sports stores. It is very strange to see. I think once he starts playing this season and we see him regularly on the court wearing the uniform, it'll make more sense. But how about this? So we've got LeBron James. We've got Manny Machado now with the Dodgers, which I know, listen, Manny Machado is a great baseball player, so don't take this the wrong way, but he's not the star like LeBron James. You could walk up to a random person. My wife is one of those people who doesn't know anything about sports, but she knows all about LeBron James. If I asked her who Manny Machado was, she'll be like, I don't know. Does he work at the carniceria down the street? Like, she doesn't know. She doesn't know who Manny Machado is. But for a sports fan, especially a baseball fan, Manny Machado is one of the best players in the game right now. So for the Dodgers to get Manny Machado, that is a huge get. He is a big-time star. So we got Manny Machado here in the City of Angels. We've got LeBron James. And don't forget my guy, Jeff. He's my favorite guy, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. You want the Zlatan? We'll give you the Zlatan. In fact, Zlatan said the other day that if LeBron James needs help on the Lakers, that he will help him out. How nice of that, of Zlatan to help out LeBron.
Is Zlatan a basketball player?
Well, Jeff, here's the deal. He said he says Zlatan's a great athlete. He's played a lot of sports. He's good he's good for anything that has a ball. So he's good.
But my big question is, how tall is Zlatan? And I don't even know. Honest to goodness, I have been friends with a lot of soccer players. In fact, I'm talking to one right now.
Yeah, I'm really good.
And I have seen your hoop game, Pep, and I've seen a lot of these other soccer guys that go out and try to play basketball on the Sunday afternoon at the park. Guess what? They can't play basketball.
Hey. Listen.
There is no way. I did see you had a nice little turnaround jumper. That was about all I saw. But the rest of your game was a lot like Zlatan's soccer game.
Here's the deal. Zlatan stands he's a tall guy. He's probably around 6'4". Great athlete.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal athlete. But it's hard to read him because everything he says is funny or dripping with sarcasm. So when he says that, if LeBron needs a boost and needs some help on the Lakers, he's willing to help. He's willing to, in the offseason, when the soccer season is done with the LA Galaxy, Zlatan's willing to help LeBron James and the Lakers get that extra boost. But he's a funny guy. He is a phenomenal athlete. But going from soccer to basketball, that's a tough transition. Again, he was probably just messing around and having fun. But I will say, Jeff, when you saw me play basketball, I had a polo shirt on. I had jeans that were very constricting. I couldn't get loose and stretch it out. You didn't see me at my best. I probably had dress shoes on. You need to see me at my best. You see me at my worst. You need to see me at my best.
Well, I'll tell you what. This is what we should do. We get our fans. We get some of our coaching friends in the area, and we should get a men's league basketball team together. But we'd have to play late at night. But I'm telling you, you could be I don't know if you could be our point guard, but we could get Cullen, Greg could be our power forward. But Greg can only stay at one side of the floor because he doesn't want to run up and down the floor. He just wants to hang out and listen to music. And then we could get Kono. Kono could be our point guard because he looks like he's about 12 and he's only 4'2".
Jeff, I'm like you. I don't pass. I'm shoot first. I only pass if there's no way I can even get a shot off, which I can usually find a way to get a shot off. So, I'm definitely not the point. I don't got the height to be a forward. I've got to be the shooting guard.
Well, so you got to understand that, you and I are the boss. That's it. They have to give us the ball no matter what. They give it to Gorham, give it to Pep, and we shoot every time. We might not win a lot, but I'll tell you what, we'll have fun because we'll get to shoot all the time.
That would be fun. I'm willing to do it. I would, a soccer guy playing basketball. Hey, and I told you, I used to play basketball. I actually did. I was on basketball teams. I used to play in adult leagues as I got older because I love basketball. But it always fell between the soccer season, and it wasn't called club, it was called select. It was like, from high school soccer season to select season, like I never had a chance to actually play basketball. So I'd only play like in the summers at the YMCA, playing in like YMCA leagues and adult leagues. Like I loved it. And I'm like Zlatan, man. Basketball looks easy. If it's got a ball, I'm probably going to be good at it.
Yeah, Zlatan. The reason I like Zlatan, I couldn't tell you anything about his soccer, but he reminds me of Ricky Anderson. Remember, he's always third person. And he always says really, really outrageous, funny stuff.
He is outrageous. He's got a lot of confidence. And if you like go on YouTube and search his name, you'll see why. He has scored some incredible goals over in Europe. He's an amazing player. He's kind of, again, he's in MLS now. He's playing for the Galaxy, but he's entering the twilight of his career. He's 34 years old, which is only like a year older than LeBron James. But for soccer, that's kind of getting a little bit longer in the tooth. He's coming over here to MLS to make some money. And certainly, he's a huge star. In Los Angeles, I don't know. Maybe he could walk down the street and people wouldn't recognize him, but put him anywhere else in the world, and Zlatan would have people all over him. He's a big-time soccer star. So we've got Zlatan Ibrahimovic. We got LeBron. We've got Manny Machado. Hey, let's talk about the Rams for a second. The Rams brought in a ton of star power. If that young core of Todd Gurley and Jared Goff isn't enough, and these guys are rising stars in themselves, obviously, they brought in Ndamukong Suh, they brought in Aqib Talib, they brought in Marcus Peters. They've got a lot of star power on their team as well. Right now, when you look at Southern California, and I know there's a lot of people in the Inland Empire, and that's their favorite teams over there in LA and Anaheim, and they follow them very closely. Right now, when you look at the greater LA area in Southern California, Jeff, if you take the Rams, the Lakers, the Dodgers, the Kings and Ducks have been consistently good. This is kind of the golden era of sports right now in Southern California. Everyone's got stars. Everyone's winning.
Yeah, I mean, they are. And it kind of reminds me of the 80s when Magic, Kareem, Worthy, all of those great Lakers, and then you had those great Dodger teams.
Wayne Gretzky came to the Kings in the 80s.
I mean yeah, it was Kirk Gibson was with the Dodgers. Remember, he was a huge name. And then ends up winning the World Series. But then you go over to football. Remember, Eric Dickerson was huge in Los Angeles. Everybody had an Eric Dickerson jersey. Everybody wanted to wear the Rex Specs. And if you're comparing, honestly, you can compare the era we're in right now to that era, which I thought was the golden era of LA sports.
Yeah, it was pretty – you're right. The 80s were very incredible for Southern California, but I think we're entering a new era where a lot of the stars are coming to L.A. and all of the Los Angeles area teams, and I'm including like the Anaheim Angels, of course. They're still the Anaheim Angels. We're in I didn't even mention Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani, right? I mean, this is –
Albert Pujols.
And Albert Pujols. I mean – this is a great time to be a sports fan. And again, if you live in the Inland Empire, you likely grew up watching and listening to your favorite teams in the LA and Anaheim area. And right now is a great time to be a fan with all of these stars right now. And listen, the Lakers are going to be a playoff team. Pains me to say that, but they will be a playoff team. I'm not ready to say they're going to win the West or an NBA title, but they are a playoff team. The Dodgers are great. The Angels have star power. The Rams are going to be a Super Bowl contender. The Chargers are on the rise. I could go on and on right now. But anyways, I feel like I'm, just regurgitating things I've already said. But L.A., in terms of being a sports town, and I know L.A. geographically is not just one little place. It's L.A., I feel like, spreads out, miles and miles and miles. But to be a fan in L.A. and in the Inland Empire of these L.A.-based teams, it doesn't get any better than this. This is a great time to be a sports fan.
No, and you mentioned yesterday 11 professional sports franchises right here in Southern California.
Not even to mention our local teams. You know what I mean? We talked about the Sixers, the Quakes, the Storm. the Fury, the Reign, the Agua Caliente Clippers. I mean, we've got some good teams out here to follow. It's just more of a prominent, more national level with those LA area teams. But it's an exciting time here in Southern California. Excuse me, for sports. The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Boost Performance Training in Corona with Coach Ray Bass. Right after this show, I'm going to load up the newest Boost training tip to the Inland Sports YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out. Coach Ray Bass will walk you through another training tip so you're all ready to go for your upcoming sports season. Maybe it is high school football because training camps are here for high school football. Follow Boost on Instagram and Twitter. See all the cool things they're doing there with their local athletes at Boost Performance Training. That's boosttrainingsystems.com. That is the website. Check it out for yourself. Jeff, when we come back on the Inland Sports Show, we've got breaking Major League Baseball news. It involves a local guy from the Inland Empire, one of our star pitchers from the IE. It's also going to have a ripple effect on the Dodgers. So if you're a Dodgers fan, you want to hear this. We'll be right back at your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM. And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. We got some big baseball news, breaking news that just happened within the hour regarding one of our local pitchers from the Inland Empire. We've got those details next here on the show, which is brought to you by our good friends at Catalano Motors in Corona off of Temescal Canyon Road. Buy, trade, and finance. Plus, you can save $500 every time you mention the Inland Sports Show at Catalano Motors. $500 off. And there's weekly specials. You're going to save thousands of dollars. So go to Catalano Motors. Save your thousands of dollars already. Mention the Inland Sports Show. They'll take $500 off that sweet new whip. Got to have a whip. Got to look cool as you're driving around the IE. You can do it at Catalano Motors. CatalanoCars.com is the website. All right, here's the breaking news you guys have been waiting for. The pride of UC Riverside and Redlands East Valley High School, Matt Andries, has been traded from the Tampa Bay Rays to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jeff, right now, Arizona is only a half game behind the Dodgers. They are making moves. They're trying to chase down L.A., the D-backs, bringing in our former Rev Wildcat and UCR Highlander, Matt Andries. It looks like Andries will go into the Arizona bullpen, although with Tampa Bay, he was used as a starting pitcher, kind of more of like a spot starter and a long reliever, but now he's going to go to the Arizona bullpen. But from what I just read, Arizona's got a pretty good five-man rotation, but if any of those guys go down, if there's an injury, whatever the circumstance might be, if they need another starting pitcher, Matt Andries would be the guy they would insert into the starting rotation. But Matt Andries going to Arizona to help the D-backs chase down the Dodgers for the National League West title. What do you think about that, Jeff?
Well, I think it's good for our local guy, but I think could be bad for the Dodgers. I was looking at this National League West. 4 teams are separated by less than 5 games. Man, if you've got to be happy with the way the Dodgers have been playing, but you look at Arizona, Colorado, and San Francisco, they're all within striking distance. All it would take is to have one bad week or one bad game for that matter. Look at the Dodgers the last 2 nights. Those losses could vastly affect the Dodgers if it comes down to a wild card race, if they don't win it straight out. I think this could be a problem. The Dodgers need to figure out how to separate themselves. I think they need another arm. But, man, that National League West is a logjam.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room for error because we don't know. There's still a lot of baseball to be played, but we don't know if a wild card will come out of the National League West. The only way to guarantee your playoff spot is to win the division, because the teams in the Central, maybe even the East, although I don't know, between the Phillies and the Braves, again, it's so hard to say where the wild cards are going to come from right now. So if you're betting on, well, let's just finish in second place in the NL West, it might not be good enough. You got to win the division. And right now for the Dodgers, there's not a lot of room for error. They've been making moves. We saw Manny Machado come in, obviously, but now Arizona is trying to shore up some of the areas that they need to strengthen a little bit for this playoff run. And Matt Andries, a local guy from the IE, a Redlands guy, Redlands East Valley, UCR, he's been added to the D-backs mix because Arizona, again, they know every game's going to count. There's not a lot of room for error between them and the Dodgers as we come down the stretch through Arizona, through the month of August and September, between Arizona and the Dodgers. And speaking of the Dodgers, Jeff, they lost today, 7-3 against Philadelphia. It was an afternoon game. So the Dodgers are 10 games over 500. The record is pretty good. Arizona lost to the Cubs this afternoon, so they both had afternoon games. They lost to the Cubs by a score of 2-1. So they both lost today, so the Dodgers remain up by a half game in the National League West standings. So nothing changed there. But as you mentioned, that's back-to-back losses against the Phillies, and it comes on the heels of that 16-inning game last night that the Dodgers lost by a score of 7-4. And could you believe what you saw? The guy who was on the mound for the Dodgers last night that gave up the walk-off home run to the Philadelphia Phillies.
No, I was shocked to see Kike Hernandez throwing out there. My question for Dave Roberts, and I'm telling you, this is what scares me about those last two losses. Philadelphia is leading the National League East by a game and a half over the Atlanta Braves. I'll tell you what, if it comes down to a one-game or a two-game situation and those games cost the Dodgers getting into the playoffs, I'd be a little upset because I remember I watched that game last night. I didn't watch all 6 hours, but I watched the better part of 2.5 to 3 hours, and Rich Hill was warming up. I would have gone with Rich Hill just to get a pitcher in there because every game is essential when you're playing top of these standing teams like Philadelphia, Chicago, and Arizona. You can't lose those games.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight race down the stretch. And those are games like, here we are at the end of July, and we're like, oh, that's kind of cool, the novelty of seeing Kike Hernandez pitch, which I should note, I believe somebody pointed out that the only position that Kike Hernandez has not played this season for the Dodgers is catcher. He's played all other 8 positions now that he's pitched. But I hope we do not look back on this hot, lazy, steamy night at the end of July and think, man, they could have pulled off that game in Philadelphia. This would have been a different, end. Who knows? The Dodgers in Arizona, what if they end up coming down to the final games of the season? In fact, I should pull up the Dodgers schedule and find out who they play those final couple games of the year, that final series of the season, because right now there's no reason to believe there's going to be a lot of separation between the Dodgers and Arizona for not only that National League West title, but you also got to keep an eye on now what's going on in the Central and the East, because the fight for the wild card is on. Let's say Arizona does end up on top. Where do the Dodgers fit in? Is the record going to be good enough to get them to the postseason?
Yeah, well, I think you're leaving out a big factor, Pep, and that's the Colorado Rockies. They are 12-3 in their last 15 games. They're only 2 games out, and guess what? Colorado has the easiest schedule the last month of the season in the National League. So if Colorado has a shot to hang around, they could pose a huge problem for both the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, the playoff push is in full mode right now in the National League, and it's getting real juicy. Hey, when we come back on the Inland Sports Show, we're going to wrap things up. We'll get you all set for Rancho Cucamonga Quakes baseball, which is coming up from San Jose. This is the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE, 1350 AM.
Focus on the customer here. Believe it or not, that is the biggest thing for customers on an oil change. They just want the convenience of coming in, driving in, getting it done, and driving out. Just greet them, get them going, and they're done in about 10 minutes or so. We don't push any sales on them. We do the oil change, and I think that's what sets us apart is our customer service. Vacuumed and cleaned your windshield for you as well. Everything's looking pretty good. come into us one time, believe me, we'll spoil you and you'll be ready to come back the next time.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. We had a bit of breaking news in that last segment with Matt Andrees, the pride of Redlands East Valley and UC Riverside. He's a pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays, but not anymore. He was traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks as Arizona engages in this battle with the Dodgers to win the National League West. Jeff, I also saw something I would classify as breaking news. The Dodgers, not this Friday because they'll be on the road in Atlanta, but next Friday when they're back home, they're scheduled to have a ceremony at Dodger Stadium, a retirement ceremony for the great Andre Ethier. So we had not seen him with the team this year. He was out there under what I would classify as a free agent. I think there was some speculation that he might come back for another season of baseball with the Dodgers or elsewhere. But I guess it's over. Andre Ethier will call it a career. The Dodgers will have a ceremony, a retirement ceremony for him before next Friday's game. He played his entire career with the Dodgers, and we don't see that very often, Jeff.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, a staple in L.A., a lot like Kobe Bryant, Andre Ethier. So congratulations to him, and well-deserved.
All right, so next Friday, if you're heading out to Dodger Stadium, look for that. Andre Ethier calling it a career. Another thing I want to point out real quick, like 1 more minute left here. Todd Gurley, I just saw on the NFL's official Instagram, just signed that new 6-year contract, I'm sorry, I should say 4-year contract extension. So it's a total of 6 years. But that new contract extension worth $60 million. He just signed it on Instagram. The only thing that I noticed in the picture was, besides he's signing his name for a lot of money, he's left-handed. He had the pen in his left hand. He didn't seem like a lefty to me.
Wow, I didn't picture that at all. So, yeah, but good for him and good for the Rams as they open that stadium and hopefully bring some Super Bowls here to L.A.
He's going to be a big part of that. The Quakes are coming your way right here on Fox Sports IE 1350 AM. They are taking on the San Jose Giants. Pregame starts at 6:45 p.m. Mike Lindskog and Andrew Chapman on the call, our brothers here at Fox Sports IE. Always good to hear them as the Quakes are now in the second half of their season. We'll be back tomorrow, maybe a little bit later, because the Quakes have an afternoon game against the San Jose Giants tomorrow. So I'm going to assume we're going to pop on about 3:30, maybe 3:45 or so once the Quakes and San Jose wrap up their afternoon game, which begins at 12:30 first pitch. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock or so around there on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show, Fox Sports IE 1350 AM.
Bye.